You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Justified After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Justified After Show.
And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Justified Season 5, Episode 11, The Toll. I'm John Comerford, and I'm joined in the studio by Tamara Berg.
Hey, everybody.
Steve Bottomley.
Hello there.
Matt Lieberman.
Hey.
And a very special guest star, Emmy-nominated Dave Blass.
Hello.
Welcome. All right, this week's episode, we have Rachel getting a promotion, Ava making some new friends, Boyd taking up smoking, and Picker busting a gut. So let's start with there. We can't, how else can we, last week we started with Danny meeting his maker. So
Hoisting himself on his own petard.
Thank you, Tamara. So let's start with this. Picker.
Busting a gut, as you say.
Yeah. So I didn't see any of it coming. I knew the cigarettes had something to do with it. I go, okay, the cigarettes. Okay, what are they going to do with the cigarettes?
I was having a little bit of echo of Breaking Bad. what's the cigarette going to, remember the rice and cigarette from Breaking Bad? Yeah. Wondering if that was going to have something to do with it, forgetting completely that Boyd is an explosives expert.
And I thought, because last week they made a point of Ava taking Judith's cigarette and having a little puff at the end there. I'm going, are they trying to make some sort of connection there? And that's where I was going with it, just because they made a point of that last week.
But Matt, you probably saw it coming.
I didn't see it coming that way. I knew that. I was definitely shocked when it blew up.
Yeah.
But watching it again, you see him toying.
It's all there
with the detonator or with the Emulix.
Yeah, he's playing with it.
When
Jimmy
in
and
the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
When they come in, and it was just a really expertly delivered death, and it was.
It was. No,
I'm sure Steve was over the moon with the blood and guts.
Yes.
Nicely done.
He's just
me watching like this.
It was, they were not giving it to us, and when they finally did, it's like, well, we're gonna blow someone up.
Yeah.
By the way, Dave, were you on set when the?
Oh yeah.
You were.
Okay. You didn't see all the blood. There was so much blood.
My gosh.
It was like this. There was blood on the ceiling. There was blood 30 feet away. There was there was just soaking pools of goo.
That was the other thing. I'm going, how did Boyd escape getting a drop on him? Everybody else gets blood, but no, he's pristine.
Well, he's Boyd.
That's what I thought. I go, can't mess with the hair, man.
Yeah.
Well, initially we had talked about something like he dies behind the. And that's why the chairs were overly big. It was like, okay, well, how did? And it's like, no, he's just Boyd.
He's just Boyd. I was thinking that's why he was looking at the magazines. I thought at the last Megan he was gonna go.
No, his teeth are so shiny they just repel.
That's what it was.
All grossness.
And as we actually shot this episode first, and then last week's episode we shot afterwards. So it went from this bloody, gooey mess with this and the other blood scene that you have later on, and then we had to clean it all up and then go back and clean it all up, make it perfect, and then go back to the blood again.
The blood for next episode.
Yeah, so it's just blood, and it's the joys of working in my industry.
A lot of blood.
Right
a lot of cleanup.
Clean up on aisle 6 blood.
So what do you get, like CSI people to clean it all up? Who do you?
Well, we have blood discussions and which union discussion. It's like, well, if it's on the wardrobe, then it's the wardrobe department's on the face, it's makeup. on the floor, it's the flooring guys, and it's like.
So you had all departments on this one.
Yeah, to converge at once, and then you also hope you only.
Blood wrangler.
You only do one take, so
and I assume it was one take.
Yes, we were one take Charlie on this one, yeah.
What I love just as much as the death, and don't get me wrong, I love that Picker's dead, if only because he's different from everybody else. I want the shit kickers. I don't want the Detroit hard nose.
Yeah.
Also remember, he was the guy who really knows about Raylan on the tarmac.
Right. So we needed him dead.
With Augustine.
We did
Nicky
with Nicky Augustine. Exactly.
Story's sake. But I love this introduction to Catherine Hale. We get a lot of her in this episode, or at least way more than we've had previously. And that, Boyd walks into this with a plan, but also knowing how dire the situation is.
Yeah.
He knows that he's walking into a trap. He has Jimmy the boys
Tied
all the
loop.
heroin in a place that he can't even find it, as his insurance policy. It's setting up something larger. We only have 2 episodes left, and now this heroin is the key element that's tying all these people together. Like, we've had this whole plot all season long. We didn't really know what shape it was going to take. We've spent all this time bringing this heroin to Harlan, and now that it's here, it's a major bargaining chip, and we have all these different players getting after it. Yeah.
Well, somebody's losing a cleaning deposit
That's true.
in the hotel. I'm just saying.
Probably win.
So
Oh, they don't want smoking. How do they feel about bloodletting?
Yeah.
Or explosions. It's like-
Explosions,
Yeah, how do
We
you
ordered a
explain that?
non-explosion room.
Catherine Hale has a plan. Mike, lock the door.
Mike locked it.
I thought it was great.
So Boyd makes the offer of half of my half.
Have my half.
And
Which is
that's
going
where
off
it's
of
left.
Dewey's. I've got all your half. And anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tamara.
So we're that's where it's sitting now,
Yeah.
and there's a decision to be made. But one thing I wanted to talk about, which I was actually reading on the message boards somewhere, that there were people who actually. So we have the first scene where Boyd's getting ready to smoke a cigarette, and the
Yeah.
marshals come in, right?
Right.
And then
You're talking about in the hotel room for those.
Thank you. Yeah. So then we go to the marshal's office. There are things that happen, and then we come back to the same hotel room.
Right.
And Boyd gets ready to smoke his cigarette again.
Yes.
There were people who thought that was like a repeat scene, or that they were confused that
'Cause he's
one
picking
scene
up
happened and
right
things
before-
happened because they're all wearing the same clothes.
Right.
He's doing the same thing. They're having the same
get
discussion.
interrupted.
They get in. Well,
Yeah.
the funny thing is when they shot the scene with the marshals coming in, one of the extras who had the battering ram, a little bit too excited about the
Ooh.
scene and everything.
Oh.
Literally, first take slams the battering ram right through the door. So it's like the door. It's like it just explodes, and it's like everyone, and it's like gets stuck in it. Everyone's like, okay.
He's
like,
fired.
Yeah, and we're like, well, we don't have a take 2 on the door. It was supposed to be just boom, and so we had to steal a door from that was across the hallway and put some contact paper up so you don't
Yeah.
see it. But it was like, and of course we shot that first. So when they
Yeah.
come back, it's like we couldn't have this big
The
hole,
door.
the hole in the door. But
The things you don't think about.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys
So
are having
you-
door issues.
Yeah, you had.
Especially
holes
since
in
it's
them.
out of sequence.
Yeah.
So now you
Doorknobs.
need another door for 2 more episodes.
Right.
exactly, and then you see if you saw it the next time on. Daryl comes busting through the same
Right.
door, and Mike's on the ground, and that was actually.
It's different when you need to have cars and extra cars. You don't think you have to have extra
and
doors.
and it's like, what is the blood going to get on, and where it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like
Now, did they wire Picker up with a squib, or did they just was it just a dummy? Or
Had-
it was a dummy. It was
Yeah.
it was a big.
And was the head an actual foam head, or
Model?
was that CG?
There was some CG and everything. John Avnet, the director, had
Yes.
like a very concrete vision. There was at one point, which is why one of the reasons the couches are so kind of chunky, was the idea to have the actor actually in the couch and like to hollow it out,
Oh,
and
and
then
have his head
and have
coming out?
and
Wow.
but we didn't end up doing that. It was going to be like too much of a thing, and they're like CG people are like, yeah, no, we'll just put the CG body there in the same spot, and we'll lock it off, and then. It's a pretty easy comp.
Map his face. And
Are there discussions about okay, so how far can we go with blowing a guy up? I mean, can we have him still alive a little bit, or does he have to die right away?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like how gory can we get? What are we going
Yeah.
to see?
Yeah.
And then what do you need to see? And then then how do you do it? And it's always a discussion. But we don't run into as much with FX in terms of what can you how gory are you going to get? I mean, I think we're pretty easy on that in terms of now sex violence and language is pretty
Well, you have
Commonplace.
you have the disclaimer.
and it's like
So there you go.
Exactly. So
Right? That's all you need.
but many blood discussions. How many takes are we going to do? How many
You have a blood flow chart.
So do you guys have like a blood bank that you have to go to? I mean, do you guys have a lot of extra blood?
Oh yeah, no, we got to make it up, and depending on the deal and who's putting it down and you blowing it up or pools of it or what's
Is it
doing.
a secret
It's a
recipe,
different
or is it just
blood
the
for
Caro
different
syrup with
day.
the?
Believe it or not, there's like 6 different kinds of blood. There's the coagulated blood. There's the flowing blood. There's the and it all-
spray blood.
Exactly, and it all does different things.
Okay, and this is kind of a nerdy question, but it stains, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So you get, and we always say the effects are get the non-staining blood, but there's really not. It's,
Less staining.
Yeah,
then.
so it's like you it's 50-50 depending on when you do it and if you can get it off. But yeah, it's
And
really
how quick people run and start cleaning up.
exactly.
So
but
then you
Dark
have
furniture.
this bloody room because you shot this before
Yeah.
last episode, and then you tear the whole thing down.
yeah,
you make
so
it clean.
Re-wallpapered it, took out the floor and redid the ceilings, redid the stuff. I mean, the blood just got everywhere, and then and then of course we come back for next week when. We get it's like, okay, we're back in the hotel room. And it's like, oh, okay, so it's bloody. Well, and you'll see it's kind of bloody.
Okay.
Mike's been busy.
He's doing poor Mike. He has to do all the
Putting
cleaning.
the club soda on the
No,
carpet.
kudos to the actors for not like just flinching the whole time, waiting
Right.
for the squibs. Like, oh yeah, no, I'm acting.
It was great, though, I have to say, because I completely forgot that Boyd was a
Yeah, me too.
explosives guy. And I said, that's right, of course.
When's
why
the
not?
last time he said
I
fire in the
know,
hole?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Long time.
And you know what?
Fire in
I'm
the
such
belly.
when he clicked, I'm going, oh, he's getting evidence.
Yes.
He's
Yeah, because
got a
that's his
recorder in
way.
there. He's got a camera. Oh no.
Yeah. I loved the expression on Win Duffy's face after the explosive
Yeah.
goes off. Because, like, it's so funny. When you meet him, he's so utterly formidable and psychotic.
Yeah.
And every season, he just gets torn down just a little more. Like, after Harlan Roulette, he's
Yeah.
just a guy now. I mean, we got a little bit when he was, like, shooting that guy with the BB gun. But, like, he's just stunned at how far he's fallen.
Yeah.
Granted, in the first season when we met him, he was just, like, a low life in servitude to the the Dixie Mafia,
Right.
but he had his pride at least. Now there's not even any pride.
Well, what I want to talk about right now is, okay, what did the explosion do? Obviously, got rid of Picker, but, and they made the selection between them a lot easier. But now Catherine sees this is who you're dealing with. Now, will Catherine think this is a good thing? Because if you should definitely go into business. If this guy's willing to blow somebody up in front of us, yeah, that's the guy you want to be in business with.
I don't think
or we'll do
that's
the
the
exact
first
opposite.
thought that you have.
No, not. Of course not. I'm saying, what is the result of this? How is Catherine going to take this information now?
Well, yeah, I think there's
The first result is, oh my God, how am I going to get this stuff off my dress?
Well, and they did talk a lot about her husband,
Right.
and how ruthless and horrible this guy was. So,
And that essentially she's worse than he
Right.
is.
right. So there's got to be some respect now for Boyd. Like, damn,
Right.
you're about as good as my husband was. I think she's going to respect him. I think she sat there and said, "I'm here to decide whether we kill you," and he just smiled through it. So, yeah, I think
Because
he played
that's
his hand
normal.
well.
That is normal foreplay talk for these people.
True.
Really, seriously. I mean, they're testing each other all the time, trying to let them know that we're very serious, but we're going to perform or, bring it off in a way that is polite and,
I thought
Like
it was
when-
the conversation very charming. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
when Win and Catherine got together for the first time last episode, and she was like, "How do you know that I wasn't just going to stick an ice pick in your neck?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Charming as ever." Like that's just who they are. It's all a big front. It's all a big game. The fact is, he is a more violent, dare I say, explosive player than they were thinking about. He's very disruptive. It's not going to make Win want to work with him more, but it does prove that he's not going to be the easiest person to dispose of.
Right.
And that he can do a lot of damage on the way down if they intend to go after him.
When he's got a relatively solid plan, it's hidden in a place where I don't know. I'm offering you half of it. Without me, you have none. Of
Well,
course,
which
that's
is-
not how it's going to go, but that's
it's-
what his plan is.
But it's only a quarter of the original amount. So, what Wynn is saying is true. Like, half does not make a whole,
What I love about his interaction with Catherine, Boyd's interaction, is the moment when he realizes who she is, and he talks about seeing her picture in the paper when her husband was on trial. And it's like it is and isn't a compliment depending on who Catherine, really is. He's like, that's the woman you have on your arm when you're a real gangster.
Yeah.
And that could be
Right.
taken as an insult. But I think, honestly, there's a nice, bold streak of pride across her face that really intrigues me, because we have this scene later with Vasquez where she says during the trial, Vasquez tried to paint her as even worse than her husband.
Right.
Which, begs the question, how worse is she?
Right.
Which is obviously we don't know. We will find out.
Yeah.
But I thought that was the most interesting scene between, well, for Catherine anyway.
The Vasquez and Catherine scene, yes.
Yeah, Rachel knew about her, but nobody else knew about her.
Right.
Because everyone's so new.
And I
Yeah.
love that Rachel knew. It was not going to get by her.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to that, kind of taking like, you're a has-been. You know, you're not. You're old.
yesterday's news.
You're yesterday's news. You know, young people don't even know you anymore. I mean, there seemed to be an undercurrent.
There's a little bit of that in
Irrelevant.
there. That's good.
Yeah.
Right. You are irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but her level of calm in that situation and the way she's smiling as they're saying that leads me to believe she's not just sitting on her hands. I think the fact that, you know, she's out of the limelight but is probably doing a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Makes her even prouder that she's kept her profile low.
Well, yeah, well, the profile that she presented so far is that she's just a grandmother.
Country grandma.
Country grandma.
Yeah, but she sure seemed to be enjoying the meeting and being back in the game.
Oh, of course.
So,
It's a thrill. It's electric.
so
Boogie woogie oogie oogie. Did I say that with a straight
You
face?
made
Yeah,
me
you did.
snot.
Oh,
wow,
Tamara.
wow.
I
It
feel
was
so
you
much
who did
closer
it.
to you.
Do you know if there's going to be an episode titled Boogie Woogie Oogie?
I can suggest it. I mean, the writers are very open to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it can take place in like a roller disco.
Since we were just talking about Catherine, what was it like when she came on set? Mary Steenburgen.
Oh, she's a phenomenal actress. I mean, it's just, you know, and she's kind of an icon. So, but
Yeah.
but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's what it's like, you know, every week
Yeah,
on
you
Justified,
have.
and whether it's you know, Eric Roberts or Mary coming on, it's like the quality of actors is just amazing. But I think she came in right in the middle of all this. Oh, we're shooting this episode before this episode. It's in 7
Oh,
days,
gosh.
and then you know, just her schedule was tight, so it was a lot of this moving around. And it's like, hi, welcome to our insanity.
Yeah.
And
So can we talk about the shooting out of sequence and the
Yes. And then we'll get into the bottle thing. Go ahead.
No, that's what I wanted to get into was the bottle thing.
Well, they shot this. You shot this out of sequence. So you shot this 10th episode. Well, you shot the 11th episode prior to shooting the 10th episode.
correct.
And there was the reason for that was the Jean-Baptiste thing mostly, or was it just scheduling?
No, I think it was a combination of scheduling and obviously we saw from the script it was a phenomenal episode. I don't think it was at the point that they wanted it, or you know, I'm here on the totem pole.
Yeah, there are a whole host of reasons,
Yeah,
perhaps.
it's a combination of a lot of things, but I think you know, the actor availability is always an issue, but or the script isn't, you know, where do they want it to be, and I think that a lot of that has to.
And I read that every season they've had to do that in some fashion for one reason or another. Is that correct?
Yeah, season 3 I think was the most challenging because Walton Goggins had been cast by Steven Spielberg in Lincoln.
Right.
So we had to shoot the first 4 episodes of his footage
Oh, wow.
out of sequence.
Oh,
so
wow.
that he basically shot all of his stuff and then was gone for 4 weeks to go do Lincoln, and then we were like grabbing bits and pieces, and that was Boyd at the prison, and a lot of, you know, that's when Boyd goes into the prison with Dickie and a lot of that stuff. So that was
So it's already hard enough to shoot, you know, an episode a week or whatever. So that just takes massive organization, or do you just do a lot of pre-planning? Or
a
you
lot.
just-
Yeah, a lot of organization, a lot of pre-planning, and a lot of. I mean, it's not. If you have the scripts in advance,
Right.
it's easier. But a lot of times on Justified, and
You're collaborating as you do it.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a big event for the Emmys the other night, and the cast was up there talking with, and it's that much of a collaboration deal where you know, the actors bring their ideas to the writers. I mean, you know, last week's episode had the whole thing with the ditch, and that was Tim Oliphant's idea from the get-go.
Wow.
And he said, you know, when he saw that they had a dog, he's like, well, obviously, you know, we're going to do my thing because the only reason we have a dog is so that we can kill the dog, dig a ditch, and have the guy fall into the ditch. And that's, you know, but it's that kind of collaboration. And then once, you know, in big scenes like this, it's like we're blowing up a major actor, and then how are you doing it? How's it all gonna pan out? I mean, you know, Mike got killed in season 2. I mean, he's, you know, every day he comes in, he's like, yeah, I'm just happy to live another day, because he's like, you know, I was supposed to, you know, come in and do 1 episode and then die, and he's, I
Right.
think, been on 26 episodes or something.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
Like
for him,
Jesse
man.
Pinkman.
So tell us what a bottle episode is.
In TV terms, it's kind of a budget-saving thing to condense, because a lot of going out on location and doing a bunch of things costs a lot of money. So a bottle episode is, and you'll see it in pretty much every show, it's kind of that more confined thing where you use a lot of just regular cast, and it tends to be in the main sets a lot. So season 1, our big bottle episode was the hostage situation in Jost, where the guy took the hostage and asked to have the chicken brought in and all that. So this was our bottle episode, but it's on Justified, it's like our bottle's big and it has holes in it. And, so I would say about 90% of what you see in this episode was built on stage. So everything from the hospital to Allison's apartment to obviously Audrey's and Johnny's bar and. Trying to think what else was in there.
No exteriors at all. This one.
No, and the only thing we had one day off stage where we went down to the jail and we shot the jail stuff down there, but everything.
You built the hospital.
The hospital, yeah.
Wow.
So which is funny because we built the hospital that you see early in the season, in the second or where the Paxton's in. So we built that whole hospital and that the stairway that the Boyd has. So that we had built that. And then we turned that into something else. It was like the Child Protective Services, so it's like here we have a hospital that gets turned into something else. Yeah. Do we have that hospital still?
The old nursing home with what's his name? Can we use any of that?
Yeah, exactly. Or literally there was the gun range scene, and they're like, wait, I thought we had a gun range. I'm like, from season 2, really? I'm like, there's a box over there with pixie dust that I sprinkle on it. And
exactly.
And a gun range pops out.
See, that's what happens when you do your job really well.
Exactly. So
you do perform magic, and they just expect it.
So, but no, the hospital was a good challenge, and what I love, John Avnet is one of my favorite directors to work with, because not only is he so talented. But he, if you give him a big set, he'll show the set. So
that's what I noticed. Great
tracking shot with Raylan coming down the hallway, tracking, and people are like, "Wait, you built that?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a great thing." And John always does that, and he'll actually call me, "Hey, Dave, I think he's calling me to set to yell at him, and he's like, I just want you so you can see that we're doing the shot.
We're covering it well.
Honoring your work.
I was talking to Tamara before we went up, and I said, they covered this really, and I didn't really pay attention to the directed or anything and then I went back and I went, I see.
That's why I'm blown away that you built that, because of those shots, because it was so big.
It felt expansive.
Yeah.
So basically what I had done is I built the whole thing in a 3D model in the computer, and then kind of showed it to him. It's like here, the scene with Raylan walking down, and so that you walk into the nurse's station, and then you have Art's room that you can see in the background. So it all kind of flows one into the other, and it's like, okay, well, great. That's how we'll.
That's how we'll shoot it. How long does it take you to build something like that?
Well, we shoot episodes in 7 days, so we have to do everything within 7 days.
How big a crew do you have to do that?
A lot. Probably total about 35, 40 people.
Jeez.
Between set dressers.
You guys
and
all get together and go, hey, I want to add a room over the weekend.
This episode shot in 6 days. That's what I read.
Yeah, it was like a funky 6 days. I think
6 days.
Because it's like
part of the cost cutting.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 6 days, but you're piggybacking one of the days on top of the other. But
okay.
So
as a result, the whole episode from script to just how it came out as a finished product, it feels very intimate. It's a quieter story, especially considering what happens in the episode. That we have this this tragic shooting that throws everything into chaos, along with this explosion. But it's a very contained, quieter story setting up a larger conflict for the rest of the season. Which I can't believe. We have only 2 episodes left. I can't imagine how we're going to get all of this resolved. I imagine that we're not going to get all of it.
It'll probably set up the final season too, so they're going to leave some things unresolved.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I mean, let's face it, Catherine
but
alone.
There will be blood.
Yes.
Yeah, there will be blood.
Hey, when you do a bottle episode like this, is it a different feel on the set? Is everyone are they a little bit more, relaxed, or just kind of like, hey, we're kind of staying at home?
Different departments, it's different things. So it's like for my department, they're like, oh wait, how many? We have to build a hospital. We have to build this. But for the rest of production, they're like, okay, well, it's all existing stuff. It's all here, and it makes it a lot easier for them. And it's the transportation people, they park the trucks, and they sit there, and it's all good. So it
depends.
Yeah, it depends, but it's trade-offs because you have your big episodes, and the next 2 episodes are pretty huge.
I would imagine.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, you have those, but it's the trade-off. So, but I think that this is a good trade-off, and obviously, Art's still in the hospital, so we can, and even as the designer, when you're getting the scripts, and you're like, okay, well. should we take the hospital down to it? And I'm like, well, Art's still in the hospital, so let's keep the hospital. Because I guess that he ain't gonna get out of the hospital, anytime in the next week. So we're gonna have to go back and visit him. We're gonna have to, probably go back to the hospital room. So let's.
I don't know if you can answer this, and it's okay if you can't. But we're not going to do a big time jump over the next 2 episodes, are we?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long this whole season? How much time has passed during this season? Has anybody figured that out?
No, I know that the writers have a sense of it, and I want to say like 6 months would be
okay.
That was kind of what Erica was saying.
Yeah. And then because I think we had a discussion at one point with the baby and when there's a baby age or what's that, or there was some other thing that we were talking about.
Well, Leslie was talking about it in the car with Raylan when she was talking about the first 6 months and cabin fever and all that. So that to me gave me the timetable that they're talking about 6 months.
Yeah.
But it feels so much more compressed than that.
It does.
Yeah. Well,
I
don't imagine it's a full 6 months. It's probably 3 to 4.
Right.
Yeah, but a lot of times, you sit there and what you don't see is there's a lot of the logistics of, well, it's this scene to that scene, but it's like, well, no, actually, Raylan gets out of the bar and says, okay, I need a flight to Memphis.
Right.
Or he actually said it. He said, just get me on a flight. And it's like, well, he's got to go from Kentucky to Memphis, and it's just, okay, that's a day. And then, from Kentucky to down to Mexico and all that business, it's just,
And they drove back.
Yeah, and it's like, and they drove down, drove back, and all this, it's like, you're not going to, so it's like, there's where, and then
That's
it's
where
like,
the time is.
And there was like a whole big chunk of time between the trial at the beginning of the season,
Right.
where
Before
Dewey gets all of his money, and when he buys Audrey's, and then when
Daryl and Danny come up and all that other stuff.
So that's a whole process.
Yeah, and then even the Ava stuff is like even though it's compressed logistics of criminal justice, it's like she's going from one prison to another and she's getting reassigned, doing all this stuff, and it's like she's in solitary for and it's like all that stuff takes a certain chunk of change. So I think someone else will probably have a better idea, but I think it's something about 6 months.
Got it. Well, let's talk about Ava.
All right.
Shall we?
Jump in.
The new queen bee.
The queen pin.
There's a new bitch on the block.
She's the HBIC.
That's it.
Head bitch in charge.
It's where you go to get ice cream. That's for damn sure.
Exactly.
She got the chocolate sauce. She got the caramel sauce.
And
she
the
got
strawberry.
And the strawberry.
Again, another shot that was great in that prison cafeteria scene. We had a nice jib shot coming down and everything, covered that nicely. That was great. And as it was happening, whoa. Nice, thank you.
So, but nerve-wracking, right?
Oh,
She's
yeah.
sitting there with Penny. I mean, I loved that scene. You and I were watching it together, and I loved watching that. And just, it was so tense because you were sure
and great
the shit was
casting.
coming her way.
Because just when they pan over to and you're looking at all of them, and go, oh, this could be bad. This could be bad.
But there wasn't one that I wanted to tangle with.
But it's a wonderful example of visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to say a word, but their message has been sent. We stand with you.
At least for the time being.
At least for the time being, you took her down. We wanted to see her go too, or at the very least, we know not to cross you.
Right.
We're not going to try anything.
I had a question about Penny when they were in lockdown, and she says, what's going
this all
on?
about? Yeah.
And then the guard says, you know the rules. So my question is, was she just trying to get the guard's attention away
Just
from
misdirection.
Ava? Just
Yeah.
misdirection?
I just took it as misdirection.
Or was it like, information for us that during lockdown you don't talk?
I mean, it's both.
I didn't think we even needed that because by everybody just hitting the floor and shutting up, I didn't. To me, it was all misdirection.
But yeah,
I thought
it was
the beat was just getting the blood off and the communication of her looking out for Ava and so she's basically Ava's right hand girl.
I'm surprised that the blood on the neighbor's bed didn't come back to bite them.
Well, there's a whole thing. Is like, first of all, why did she not have blood on her shirt? I mean, I don't know. Should we get into this? Because if we don't, I know that we're going to get a note about it.
Yeah, so when Ava shivved Judith, she was wearing a long sleeve thermal and the khaki top.
Which she took off.
So she took off her khaki top. She still she had blood on that, and she had blood on her thermal.
Right.
Today, when we see her in the bathroom, she's got a short-sleeved T-shirt underneath
the khaki.
Clean khaki.
Yeah.
That's because Penny brought them.
Penny brought the fresh clothes.
Right, but
Why do you put them on
before your
you
hands
clean?
are clean?
So there you go. So
you
There's
know
a
what?
little continuity issue.
When you're in a hurry, mistakes are made.
Well,
yeah.
I was just
the
surprised.
key thing,
And you miss
yeah.
What's that?
Well, the
stuff
key
on
thing
your-
on that is, just imagine you're traveling from one place in the prison to another,
Yes.
and you're covered in blood.
Yes.
You want to get the most off that you probably can, and you can probably
Hide some of the
hide
rest
the
of
other
it.
of it, and or
Right.
get as much off as you can, and then
You know,
And there's a time factor.
if
like
she
you
just
said.
throws her hands over her head and Penny pulls the stuff over her, you know.
Then the only blood is on the inside.
the
You can't
inside.
see
You
it. It's
can't
not
s-
seeping through. She washes her hand and everything's fine. And now I'm the queen bee.
There we go. Excused.
It's like the blood and the pain on the inside. It's all there. It's just you can't see it.
Right.
and luckily for Ava, it's the washable blood, so it comes
Yeah,
right out.
there you go.
See, doesn't
Yeah.
stain.
But if you have Penny bringing a towel anyway, why doesn't she just bring the clothes to her?
because
All right, moving on.
because
So, so what do we think though about Ava now being the queen bee?
well, she was obviously surprised.
Oh yeah, clearly. She's gonna have to go on a diet too, because getting that much ice cream.
Well, it's true. But what I liked most about it, besides Tamara's withering stare at that joke, is I want to see what Ava does with a bit of power. I mean, even when she was in charge of Audrey's, she
Yeah.
was still sharing that with
the
Boyd.
compassionate
Yeah.
madam.
Right, she was the compassionate madam. She got harsh every once in a while.
Yeah, with a shotgun, that was great.
You know, and you know, she slapped up Ellen May back
Yeah.
in season 3 when she wasn't paying attention, when she was mouthing off. But this is her in a prison environment where they're all looking to her to make decisions, and there are going to be some
Yeah.
harsh decisions.
Because nature abhors a vacuum, and once Judith is out of the way, someone
They're also looking to her to supply some heroin,
Yeah.
which if Boyd doesn't know where the heroin is, that might be a hard
Well,
pull.
Gotta
Jimmy
find
made a
another-
promise
That's right.
Right.
He'd take care of it.
that he would
Yeah.
take care of it. He would give
Whatever-
the nurse whatever
But
she
so
needed.
far, no one's been able to get a hold of this heroin, and the half that they did have went to Raylan. So someone's
no,
got
they
to find
have
this
half.
They
heroin.
have
half.
half. Jimmy's got it.
I know, but what I'm saying is someone's got to find this heroin and start delivering it to this jail,
Right, I
or
see what you're saying.
her reign of queendom is going to be
Short-lived.
Short-lived, yeah.
Yes.
So then it puts her in an even more dangerous
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
Is now she has lots of eyes watching
Yeah.
her, lots of people depending on her. Any one of them could cross her if things go poorly.
Yeah, it's a very uneasy alliance.
She has no protection. When Judith was around, at least she had what protection Judith was willing to offer.
And let's face it, this season, every time she gets a little bit forward,
It goes
boom,
to
yeah,
hell.
So is there going to be any more blood in the prison? Can you
There's always blood on
Okay.
Justified.
Yeah.
Someone, I can guarantee you that someone's probably going to get shot. There's going to be blood, and Boyd's going to talk a lot.
I like all of these things.
Yeah.
There's one more thing though about Ava. She said she didn't like the deal changing all the
Right.
time. Well, I'm guessing the deal's going to change at least once more now that she's Queen Bee.
Well, or that's part of her. What is her perceived security is that now I'm in charge. The deal's not going to change because I'm the one who's going
But
to
she
be
needs the
dictating.
nurse. It'll be
Yeah,
interesting to
except-
see how that happens. Well, how else is she going to get the stuff in here without the
Right.
nurse?
Yeah, because ultimately she is still a prisoner.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's-
Right.
I can't remember the nurse's
So,
name.
I just wonder if there's going to be a few
Rowena
more
or
hits.
Rowena,
Yeah,
I think so.
Rowena.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
ooh.
Rowena still ultimately has all the power unless.
I don't know. Rowena could die.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like if Ava has Rowena taken out, granted, it would give her more power, more leverage within the prison because
But now
she's
you
not.
got to now you got to get somebody.
Now you got to get a new connect
Yeah,
and do
exactly.
all that, and that's just such a hassle.
Messy.
It's hard to get
It's
people.
a hassle.
It is.
It's
It
hard
is.
to
It's
find good help.
people.
You
Yeah.
got to go
Exactly.
through. You got to go through the interviewing. You got to get all the paperwork. Oh my God.
Well, okay. Speaking of Ava, so Ava got her little promotion, so to speak. Let's go to Rachel real quick. just 'cause
Rachel
that was-
gets promoted.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
Erica was
Hey.
mentioning. She told us to keep our eyes open for that.
yeah.
Right. Well, she also mentioned. I'm pretty sure she said episode 12. Rachel was going to kick some ass.
Great.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm
so
pretty
that's
sure
next
that's what
week.
she said, Erica said when she was here. So, and us included, the fans really love Tim and Rachel. And so when they get, storylines, because we all love all the other main
Yeah.
characters, but when they come up and we get to see them do their things, everybody is just so excited about that. And I read about it on the message boards and we've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
Yeah, and
it's
Jacob
pretty
and
exciting.
Erica are just they're so talented actresses and actors and actors. It's just when they have their moments, it's great. And I think that Jacob last season he was really great because he had his whole thing
Yes,
with Colton,
yes.
which
Yeah.
was really and Eric. And I think that when they have their individual scenes with Raylan, I think that really brings out a lot of what Raylan is because they're a different dynamic. Whereas Rachel really is kind of like the mother figure, and so you got to be sticking to it and everything. But on the back, she's also there to support him. I mean, she's kind of there to give him a check, but also it's like, I know that you do a good job, but you kind of have to play by the rules a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I love seeing Tim and Rachel, because it is the family. And I don't know where Raylan is unless he's back to family, and we get that clearing out. Otherwise, he's just being Raylan out in the wild, crime patrol.
What I like most about this move, I mean, it's twofold. One, when they're at the hospital, Rachel's the one who pulls them aside and is like, let's figure this out.
Yes.
She's already being the boss.
Yes.
Back in season 4, back in last season, when Art was talking about retirement with his contemporary who was sizing him up, he's like, who am I supposed to promote? And Rachel, was still, I think he at the time said like that she tries too hard. I can't remember what his complaint was. But I like that she's in charge because it calls back to her conversations with Raylan this season, earlier in the season, when he's, being incredibly difficult. And she's like, you could just share with me, you ass. And frankly, if you're not, then you obviously did something really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, because she is there to support him, do the job, and
and to warn him.
Yeah,
because that's what she did in the hallway right there.
Exactly.
It's somebody else's call.
Yeah.
Don't go Raylan on us.
But now she's the one in charge. She has to make all the decisions. You can see the trepidation in her eyes.
Yeah.
She's stunned. She's pleased, but then she's also, what a horrible time to get this opportunity.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm up to it. And now she has to wrangle Raylan. And I can't imagine how difficult that's going to be.
Yeah, but it's great because she also knows his plays.
That's true.
So she's
been on the ground with him more than Art.
Well, you put Tim right on his hip, and ask Tim to bring him in.
But that's not necessarily going to work because he was the one trying to
ready to go.
convince him to
That's the
go
best
off the
shot you got, though.
reservation.
I know.
And I love the moment where Tim's like, come on, we should get this guy. Art would do it for us, and Raylan's like,
Yes.
I think I know him better than you.
Okay, let's talk about that exactly because they made a big point of that. What was your feeling on that? What was everybody's idea of what Raylan meant?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's like it's his reaction to the things that Raylan has done to what happened on the tarmac. Art obviously understood why Raylan did it.
Yeah, but are you saying that
support it.
he says, okay, so you don't know Art as well as I do, so first of all, it was kind of a shitty thing to say to your friend.
It is really shitty.
But is he, because he's saying that Art doesn't want me to go out there and take care of this guy?
He wouldn't want us to break the law. He wouldn't want us
Yeah,
to.
but you don't.
It just felt sad to me. Just that's how far apart. I mean, here's Tim saying Art would do it for us, and it's like, no, I know a side that you don't know, and not only does he have to keep that personal. I mean, that again, it's family, and there's parts of family you don't get to talk about, and just how far apart they were, and to have him carry that, it was just seemed so.
It's
sad.
it's the dialogue equivalent of a heavy sigh.
Yeah.
Of just I wish we could, but he wouldn't want that.
Right.
He wouldn't want that.
Well, it's also a callback to the tarmac deal, which is basically, Art knew the situation that Raylan was in, which is, here's a guy who's trying to kill my wife and family, and the only real way to take care of the situation is to do what I did. We all know that. We all know that what I did was wrong. But seriously, what did you want me to do?
Yeah.
And
What was the alternative?
Yeah, I didn't. And without saying it, it's like I didn't physically pull the trigger on this guy, but I took care of a situation that needed to be taken care of. But Art's got to be like, it's not done by the book, and I'm not going to cross that line.
Hence the punch in the face in the bar.
Yeah, but when you go back to season 2, when Raylan goes down to Harlan to confront Mags and that whole situation and get Loretta back, his backup was Art because he's going to be there and he's going to back up his team and whatever. But it was all done by the book. It's like, here's a guy pointing a gun at me, bang, let's all shoot him, and it's all good. But it's that line that you don't cross as a lawman, because then once you're once you've crossed it, you've crossed into an area that you can't come back from.
Right. Once you're hunting someone
Yeah.
down to kill them, how do you come back from that?
Yeah, and again, it really comes back to the name of the show, Justified. It's like, what is your justification for doing something? And once you come across that line of, it's like, we're not vigilantes. Our job is to go down and catch this guy and bring him to justice and do whatever and make sure that it's the right guy, not just kind of go rogue and go after, the bad guy because he's a bad guy and, whatever. So I think that's Raylan now has that realization from dealing with Art in this whole situation, which is there is a very firm line of what is right and wrong and what you can and can't do, and it means you can't jump in your car and go down and pull this guy out of the woods and just get him and hope that I get a chance. He pulls a gun on me so I can shoot him.
Right.
Right.
But that's what I love about that storyline. It's so layered. There's so many different things going on. I mean, Raylan is who he is. And I can understand Art being upset that, you didn't go by the book, but it's like, he's the frog and the scorpion. Of course I stung you. I'm a scorpion, It's like, of course I didn't go by the book. I'm Raylan.
But see, what I love most about it is this whole thing has definitely affected Raylan in a deep way from how he handles Daryl at the end of the episode. And I know I'm jumping ahead.
No, that's okay. That's what I wanted the conversation because it would lead into that.
Right. But he says, you know what, Daryl? I ain't gonna kill you. I'm gonna take this web of shit that you've woven for yourself and I am going to strangle you with it. I'm going to bring it down around you until it strangles you. He's learning, I'm not gonna say he has learned his lesson because that's just... No. But he's
just killing him a different way.
Right. Out of respect for Art, he's taking a different route.
He's at least trying.
Yeah.
Right?
He's doing his very best.
Well, because I think he knows that whatever he does is, in a bigger world tied to Art. And it's like, would Art want me to do this? And it's like, if, everyone's praying, it's when Art wakes up, what do I say? I went down and killed this guy. And it's like, that's, now that's on Art because it's like, and he knows specifically that's not something Art would want.
I love that scene though. Yeah. Just in that elevator and watching it close on Daryl's face. It's just
and Michael Rappaport is just killing it. Like it's not. He does this nonchalant thing that's just so beautiful and just like smarmy and you just want to kick him. But at the same time, he is also playing the grief. It's not completely flippant. It's the most tired I think we've ever seen his patter.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And we also got to see what family values are to him.
Yeah.
Let the nephew take the fall.
It'll only be a few years.
He's only going to go to juvie for a few years.
Yeah, and he needs some toughening up.
Toughen him up. Yeah, the boy needs a little toughen up. I always, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking about, I think of the interview he did, he was concerned that he couldn't get the accent right.
Michael Rappaport, you mean?
It's like I'm listening to him and go, it's hard to remember that it's an affection because he's so good with that accent.
It's so fun. I don't know if it's accurate.
I don't either, and I don't care
he's
because
very
his character is so fun and
But
clear.
here's my question for the room. Are we sure that Daryl did it and not Kendall?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was Kendall.
Okay.
Because his story didn't work.
Yeah, story didn't.
No, it's not Kendall. Now, whether it was Daryl or not, but I'm sure it's not Kendall.
Okay.
Right.
But who's left? The Wendy?
It wasn't Wendy. So. But then hopefully we'll find out next week.
Do we?
I don't know. Do we know anybody that could help us out on
that?
But
no Dewey this episode. Dewey's still running.
Obviously, it could have been Kendall. I don't think that. And I mean, they'd have to do a heck of a lot of explaining to be.
That was just really good shooting for Kendall.
Yeah, that
was
too.
It was just
confident.
Yeah. So.
And it's so sad. He's the seasoned sacrificial lamb. I mean, we've seen it coming for a while.
It was Dewey for a while, but then Kendall took over.
Right. Well, for a while I thought, man, Kendall is going to wind up dead. Kendall's going to wind up dead, and now this is almost worse.
Yeah, because he's going to end up with Daryl.
He's going to end up becoming a proper crow.
Right.
Through and through when there was hope there for a hot second that he was going to get out. And now his whole life is ruined because of this blood pact with Uncle Daryl.
Never do drug blood
Blood
packs.
pack.
Never do drugs or
Blood
pack.
packs, exactly. Never
Yes.
do either one. One of the things I just wanted to touch on was Boyd and how he's going darker. You know,
Okay.
he's getting dead serious about everything at this point. You
Well,
know,
remember
and so
last
we're
week
always
we were talking about how he looked so tired and exhausted and horrible, and then so you think that all
There's-
that's gone to frustration and anger and
yeah, and
darkness.
his charm even still has that darkness to it, and it's oh, she speaks, and there was just that edge of I will kill you, as opposed to, oh, she speaks and I may want to sleep with you, which is how he usually does it. I mean, that's how his charm goes.
Sure.
And it's a subtle shift in how Walton Goggins is portraying it, and everything else as well. But I just love seeing him going back into what we know Boyd really is.
But what bothered me the most, honestly, was his scene with Terry. And the fact that he didn't immediately dismiss outright her advances. And I'm like, don't tell me that's temptation. Tell me he's trying to formulate the thought of no.
I think it goes right back to what he said a couple episodes prior, and to be blunt about it, pussy's a powerful thing.
But that's right. He said so.
Plus, she does that pop rock thing. You gotta be curious.
hence the
No
new
one
candy.
could like that. No one could like that. It sounds like the most painful, stupid thing.
It wouldn't be in the script if it wasn't true.
There you go.
I'm not saying that no one's done it. I'm saying it can't be fun.
Well,
Really? So, how would you know?
I don't know from experience,
that's my
but I
point.
just know what they do to your mouth. And they friggin' pop.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying.
All right. I'm sure we'll get some comments on
Well, we
that.
certainly know what side of the
Pop
fence.
rocks and pineapple juice.
There you go. Okay, there you go.
Priming for a good evening.
Okay, there you go. And that sounds like someone speaking from experience. So before we go any further, we have to get going. Talk
yes.
about
iTunes.
our comments and iTunes.
Yes.
yeah.
So we really appreciate your support here at AfterBuzz TV. We put out over 70 hours of quality content a week. It's a crazy, huge undertaking. It's all available for free, and we deeply appreciate all of your support, all of our viewers and listeners. The best way that you could support our network is to go to iTunes, rate, review the shows that you watch. It only takes a second. It doesn't cost a dime, and it legitimately helps us get sponsors, helps us get great guests like Dave. It legitimately helps keep the lights on, so we thank you. We have a new review from Rogue 9A. What up, Rogue 9A? Awesome podcast, 5 stars. This is a great podcast with great hosts that really get down to the nitty-gritty of the show, and they have great guests.
There you go.
Yay.
There
So if you want to support the show, please go to iTunes, rate, review. It really does help everybody here.
I have a couple of comments that came from our YouTube listeners. Ben Hamill, who's
yes, Ben.
often comments on the show, he says, I'd like to ask your thoughts on something. Is Justified a Western? I'm only asking because I got into a little debate with someone who pretty much called me an idiot because I thought Justified was a modern Western. And so, and I answered him, I said, a couple people answered, and I answered him, and I said, I should talk about this on the podcast, but that's a week away, and I don't want to. But I cut and pasted an interview with Elmore Leonard and Graham Yost talking about Lonesome Dove and My Darling Clementine and the hat and the gun, making it's the hat, the bat, and the badge and the gun that make it look like a Western. So anyway, you can look at those comments on YouTube. They're interesting.
But wait, do you have any of that?
I remember in the first or second season, it was referred to as a neo-Western in a few interviews, and I've always liked that moniker. It's not quite a Western, but it wears its trappings on its sleeve.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and Elmore Leonard is partly known for writing his Westerns, so obviously that's an element to it.
And his crime dramas, and these is the blend.
Right, and in the media, pretty much everyone refers to Justified as a modern Western or something like that. But so Graham Yost says, yes, I would say that when we were developing the series and shooting the pilot, and even after, we never used the W word, being Western. We never wanted to say that this was a modern Western. We're okay with it now because that's the reality.
Right.
It really is a modern Western.
Well, I think one of the reasons why they didn't want to use that is that people get afraid of it.
Yeah, and it confines you and it pigeonholes you, and people have definitions for what that means. So, did you want to comment on that, Dave?
I think it has a lot of the iconography of Westerns, but also more about the themes. One of the other shows I designed is called Longmire, which is a similar show.
It's a great show, by the way.
Which is also very
Congratulations.
Western, but it's more of the idea of the the lawman and how he exacts his law, and the kind of the good guys and bad guys, and the whole idea that he's out and this is how he goes about his thing. So if you took a script from Justified and you put it in the Old West and whatever, you could do a lot of the same things, and it's more of that type of show, less about and there's some class structure of things, but it's more about the lone gunman, the lone lawman, and I think that's regardless of if he's wearing a hat or not, which but it's that thing. It just has that look and that feel. But I think there's a whole new trend in TV that's the urban underbelly type of show, whether it's Breaking Bad or True Detective or Justified. It's all kind of it's not the pretty side of America. It's all the grungy, dirtier side, and that's kind of, I think, the new genre that's really presenting itself. That I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I also told Ben that his friend is rude to call him an idiot for having an opinion.
Well, it was an idiotic opinion.
One other thing that I just wanted to bring out, because
kidding, Ben, kidding.
Of course you're kidding. So one person said, and I think this is to us, and I know we have very little time, so we'll just, but this person said, stop trying to read something positive into rape apologetics. Albert didn't love Ava, he tried to rape her. The show really dropped on that one. Any comments on that? I mean, I think it's a pretty harsh statement to make, but
I don't really understand the
that's exactly what it said, so I don't really have any more information.
I don't know anybody who would apologize.
Well, it discounts the fact that the guy's nuts.
Right.
So.
Well, no. Last episode we were discussing whether or not this guy actually had these feelings for her, and whether or not that motivated what he did.
Yeah.
At no point did we say that he was
okay.
right, or that this is how someone should behave if they love someone. Absolutely not. And I don't think that the show. I think the show presented him as enough of a basket case.
Correct.
That it was willing to stab himself twice. Just so that no one can have her.
Yes.
I don't think that the show is shying away from that. I think they're presenting it in a fashion where this guy is getting, he's going to get what he deserves, and that nothing that he did was all right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Is the comment because Boyd let him go? I don't
really know. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're criticizing the show. Well, I think they're partly criticizing the show. I think they may be partly criticizing us. They could also be criticizing other people who've commented on the thing. But anyway, yeah, I think Matt,
I think they're criticizing Ben. Probably Ben.
Stop.
That's what I think.
Stop. Don't say that.
Did you know that that actor who played the guard, he wrote The Butler?
Yeah, David Strong. He's an amazing screenwriter.
Talented writer.
Recount, Game Change. He's writing the next two Hunger Games movies.
Yeah.
And I remember him from the Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
There you go. A long storied career. All right, last thoughts. Anybody? Anything?
Are we doing predictions or are we moving on? Is that it?
Last thoughts about the episodes.
Do you have a prediction to make?
We'll do predictions in a second. I'm talking about last.
Going nuts. That's
I'm
why
talking about last thoughts right now for the show. Anything else we
hit
want to
all
mention?
mine. I really liked John Avnett's, work. I mean, that was kind of the last thing I wanted to say. I thought it was fantastic.
And Danny Strong played Paris's boyfriend on the Gilmore Girls.
Whoa! Look at that.
He did.
Nice pull.
Yes, he did.
I'm just saying. Okay, the bar is set at blowing someone up.
All right, predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Ooh, that's a new
that's a new one.
There you go.
That's the
You know
old
what?
one,
Okay, here's my prediction. You're talking about Kendall. I'm not sure Kendall gets out alive. He's going to juvie, and there's some badness that might still be. And because I'm thinking if that happens, that's going to be even more for Raylan to have to deal with, because he's been trying to save the kid.
Obviously the finale, which is 2 episodes away, is going to be not only closing some doors and defining some things, but also but also determining what's happening next season.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with Ava and Boyd, and if there is an Ava and Boyd anymore.
Yeah.
Do you have? Well, you want to make a prediction on that?
Yes, there will.
You think there will
be.
Okay.
I think there will be.
Yeah. I'm excited about this heroine being in play. And
bet
everyone,
you are.
I am. Heroin makes me very excited. But what makes me even more excited is the scene in the next time on package that shows Boyd coming down to the marshal's office, basically putting himself out in the open, trying to lure Daryl in. Everyone's trying to get Daryl.
Yes.
And I'm very, very excited as that net continues to tighten around
Yes.
him.
Daryl's dead.
I agree with you on that. I think Daryl's dead.
I'm going to hold to the prediction that Dewey somehow is going to die. I don't know. They didn't have him in this episode.
Sacrificial lamb.
But I'm going to disagree. I don't think Kendall's going to die.
I don't think
and
he
I don't
is
think he's
either.
going to juvie.
And I would like to know what Dave's predictions are.
I predict there's going to be some blood.
Oh,
you
for
mentioned
God's
Someone's
sake.
going to get shot, and
Boyd's gonna have a-
and Boyd's hair is
talk
going to
about
look phenomenal.
Great.
There you go.
Thank you for being with us again
Thank you,
this
Dave
week.
Blass.
It was
Thank you for
so
stopping by.
It's addictive now.
fantastic.
Check out Longmire, by the way. His work in Longmire is fabulous as well. I mean, it's got a great look to it. I love
Thank
that
you.
thing.
And
so
we're
it's
not going
nice.
to talk about where he came from, but he came from a very interesting meeting before he got here today, but we can't talk about
Can't
it.
talk about that.
No.
I hate those conversations.
Yeah.
You just stand there looking at each other.
All right,
Yeah.
we got to close it out. Where can they find you, Dave?
You can find me at Black Hawk Design at Twitter.
On Twitter, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. You can find all my videos for AfterBuzz, sketches, and SourceFed on my YouTube page.
There you go.
Bottomley Steven, and check out Bandcamp, Bears and You.
At Tamara Berg on Twitter. Also, my website is tamaracentral.com.
And you will find me here with everybody else next week. Thanks for listening.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later, apple pie.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.